Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoiint and I just bought some of the rarest limited edition PlayStations that were ever made, and today we're going to be unboxing them all and finding out what makes these so unique. Now, one of these I've owned since new, two I bought from a second-hand store, and the rest I actually bought online, so it will be interesting to see what the condition is like after all these years. Oh, and this video is not sponsored, so if you'd like to see more videos like this, please drop a like below as it really helps me out. Right, so first up is the console that I've owned since new, and that's this one. So back in 2018, Sony officially sold more than 500 million PlayStation systems worldwide. And to mark this huge achievement, in August 2018, they released this limited edition console, the 500 million limited edition PS4, and this is one of my favourites. Even the box that it comes in looks awesome with the translucent sleeve that you can actually see the console through, and they limited it to just 50,000 units. Now that might sound like a lot, but at the time of it going on sale, it pretty much sold out immediately. Inside the box we've got the PS4 wrapped in this nice blue cloth with a PlayStation icon on the front, and if we take this off we can see how awesome this console looks. So this design is like nothing that we've seen before, as it's got a blue translucent case that means you can see all of the internals, and I'll tell you what, this blue adds a really nice pop of colour. This has got to be one of the nicest designs that they've ever made. Around the front we have a bronze PlayStation logo, but around the back is where I think it looks even nicer. Not only can you see more of the internals, but the little rubber feet are made up of PlayStation icons, so we have the triangle, circle, X and squares. Now every one of these consoles are uniquely numbered, and to show this there is a bronze badge on the front, and this shows it's one of 50,000 units. And this is also a Pro console, but it comes with 2TB rather than the usual 1TB that we often saw in the Pro. Now, not only does this look like a nice console, it looks even better when it's switched on. Instead of just seeing a very small LED light, the entire front of the console lights up, which looks great at night. As well as the console itself, it came with a matching DualShock 4 controller, and as you can see it's also got the blue translucent design and the copper details. These were also actually available separately, so if you didn't get the console at launch you could have picked one of these up instead. Then in the box there's the blue PlayStation camera that you can use on a selection of games or PSVR. Then we have the guarantee and quick start guide, which are also in blue. It's crazy how much effort has gone into this whole package. So I've never used any of these, but it also comes with the usual cables like the power cable, HDMI, charging cable for the controller and some blue translucent earbuds. And this is a bracket for the camera so you can fit it to the top of your TV. And there's also a vertical stand for the PS4, and this makes it look like it's floating. Now this PlayStation 4 is definitely too nice to hide away back in its box in a different room. So instead I've decided to wall mount it next to my desk. So you can actually pick these hide it mounts brackets up for about £20 or $20, and they make them for various different consoles, so if you've got a PS4 or a PS5, this is a pretty cool way of displaying it on your wall. And inside the next box we have the limited edition Spider-Man PS4 in this amazing red. So this one launched back in September 2018, so only a month after the 500 million console, and although it was available as either a Pro or a Slim, I decided to pick up the Slim model as it's actually more rare than the Pro model, and that's because it only sold in Europe and not worldwide. So on the front we've got the Spider-Man branding and the colours, and on the back we have this huge artwork piece which is pretty cool. But let's get this opened up and see what we get inside. Okay, so this is my first second-hand console that I've ever bought, so it's going to be interesting to see what the condition is like. I am really hoping this is going to be okay. So here it is, and this thing is vibrant. Damn, I cannot believe how nice this looks. And considering this is a pre-owned console, this is in great condition. There's a couple of marks here and there and a few fingerprints, but nothing that's too noticeable. Okay, so on the top it's got a glossy finish with this huge Spider-Man logo filling almost the entire side. Then we've got the little silver PlayStation icon on the top corner, whereas the back has this nice matte red finish. And again we get those tiny PlayStation icons that form part of the rubber feet. Then what else have we got inside the box? So we've also got the DualShock 4 controller, and again this is immaculate. I'm really loving the red and the white design with the white thumbsticks and the buttons with the red icons. And I'll tell you what, this looks a lot better in person than any photos that I've ever seen. Now originally this would have come with the Spider-Man game and the City That Never Sleeps DLC, but most second-hand consoles don't come with this unfortunately. It does however come with a 1TB drive instead of 500GB, so that's pretty cool. Then there's the power, charging and HDMI cables in the box. As for the game itself, well for me it's up there with one of the best games on PlayStation. Both this and Miles Morales are awesome games. Now having seen this Spider-Man edition, I really hope we see a PS5 console, plates or controller when we see Spider-Man 2. Either in all red with white details or all black with red details. But I suppose we'll have to wait to see what they come up with in the next few months. And the next one is at the limited edition Metal Gear Solid 5 console. So this launched back in September 2015, and this was obviously released as part of the Phantom Pain game. It also came in the original PS4 shape. That's before the Slim and the Pro models even existed. Now I am aware that the first batch or day one versions of this console actually had a spelling mistake, and that's on the console itself, so it'd be interesting to see if this was a day one edition or not. So the condition of this looks okay. It's got a few marks, but overall not bad at all. It's got a red, black and gold theme to it and a nice deep red case on the front. It looks like the top half is glossy while the bottom has a nice matte finish. Then there's a very thin gold stripe down the centre, and even the power button and the disc eject buttons are gold as well. Now the design of this is to represent Snake's bionic arm, so that's where the colour choices have come from. You'll also see it's got some very small lines of text across the front, including Metal Gear Solid 5. And if you look really closely, there is a spelling mistake on the front of the console. So this should say molybdenum, which is a chemical, but it is missing one letter. It's obviously not an issue, but it's one way of knowing this was a first edition from launch day, which I guess you could say makes it that little bit more special. Then there's the metallic grey DualShock 4 controller, which is designed to resemble Snake's handgun. Now this is definitely a very used controller, but for something that's 8 years old now, it's not bad at all. It just needed a really good clean, and it's already looking loads better. So there's a Diamond Dogs logo on the controller and on the console itself, which is Snake's private military organisation. Then inside the box we just have the power cable and an HDMI cable. I think this deep red and black combo works really well, and it's probably one of the rarest consoles that I've ever seen mentioned online. I mean, I've not seen many posts or pictures about this at all. In fact, I'd completely forgotten it even existed, and it wasn't until I started looking for these limited edition consoles did this one pop up. Okay, so let's open up the next special edition console, and this time it is the God of War PS4 Pro. Now the box is looking a little tatty, but I'm really excited to get this one opened up. So the game and the console originally launched back in April 2018, and this edition was only available as a PS4 Pro. So on the front we have Kratos and Atreus, but let's just get this opened up and check it out. So we've got this little box which we have the controller and the cables in, but I need to see the console first. And here it is, and this looks great. It's got a few hairline scratches on the top, but the colour of this looks nice. I like this white and gold and grey theme that it's got going on. So within this print here, this is actually the axe skill tree design on the front. This is what you see in the game when you upgrade your axe. In fact, the entire design is inspired by Kratos' axe. That's got references to the different realms using the different icons. It looks like the gold is carried over to the PlayStation logo in the top corner, as well as some gold designs on the front. Now most of the console has this nice flat grey colour which is called Leviathan Grey, but the light part in the middle is actually glossy. And then on the bottom again it's nice to see the rubber icons for the triangle, circle, X and square. And we also have the grey controller with some nice subtle branding on it, including the God of War logo on the touchpad. And this is in really good condition. And here's how the two of them look together. Now this is probably one of the busiest console designs that we've seen, but also one of the most detailed. I actually remember my mate Ryan getting this back on launch day in 2018. In fact, he still features this in his setup today, which is pretty cool. Then inside the box we get the power, charging and HDMI cables as well. Now since this game and console released, we have of course seen God of War Ragnarok released on the PlayStation 5. And although I did pick up the Jotner edition as well as the controller, we didn't actually see any consoles or plates. And it does make me wonder whether we'll ever see a limited edition PS5 now that we can swap the covers so easily. Next we have what I think could be one of the most striking designs out of them all, and that's the Death Stranding limited edition PS4 Pro. Firstly, it's awesome to see that the box and packaging on this looks almost brand new, so that's a great sign that this could be another decent console. Now this originally launched back in November 2019 alongside the game, so 4 years ago now, but since then we've had the PlayStation 5 and the Director's Cut versions released as well. So inside the box we get the HDMI cables and a DualShock 4 controller, which for me is one of the nicest ones that we've seen on the PS4. I've always been a huge fan of translucent designs where you can see the internals, and this orangey yellow colour just looks so nice. If you've played the game, you might notice it is the same colour as the Bridge Baby Pod or the BB Pod. Even the icon colours on the buttons are orange. Then if we look really closely at the touchpad, you can see it's got the Death Stranding logo actually etched into it, which is a nice touch. But let's take a look at the console. So there's no denying that these two massive handprints stand out on the front. So we've got these matte black BT or Beach Thing handprints on the nice white glossy panel. And I like the way that it looks like the print is actually dripping down the front. But what's really cool here is they're not just normal handprints, because if you look really closely at the palms, you'll notice they've got the shapes of the world continents embedded into them. I reckon so many people will have completely missed this when they unboxed it. Then around the front we've got the reverse Oreo looking design, where the top and bottom are white and the middle piece is black, and that's where we've got the Death Stranding text written across it. And here's how the two of them look together. So we've got the PS4 Pro with a 1TB drive, and the orange DualShock 4 controller. And you know what, it's nice to see a controller that doesn't actually match the console in terms of the colours. It makes it stand out more and it's a nice contrast. So the question is, how many of you played Death Stranding, whether that's been on the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 5? Okay, now I know what's inside this box, and that's because it's the heaviest out of the lot, as well as the rarest and the most expensive console that I've ever bought. So this is the 20th anniversary PS4, which is something that I've always wanted to own. I actually bought this used second hand, so unfortunately the box isn't in great condition, but it meant I only spent $1,000 rather than over $2,000 for a sealed version. There's the outer sleeve, and inside that a black box with the 20th anniversary logo on. And if we open this up, and here it is, and this is looking good. Right, let's start with the PS4. So this originally launched in November 2014, nearly 10 years ago, and that was in celebration of 20 years of PlayStation, since the PlayStation 1 launched in December of 1994. And that's why this whole console and the accessories have been designed with the same original grey finish. That's what we saw on the PS1. So first we've got this nice glossy finish to the top part, with the retro looking PlayStation logo in the corner, and under that is a matte grey finish. But if you look really closely, just like we have on the PlayStation 5's console covers, there are tiny little icons etched into the console. So we've got the triangle, circle, X and squares. But before every circle you'll notice there is a number 2, and that is also to represent the 20th anniversary. This pattern continues all around the front and underneath. Now as mentioned, this is the rarest and the most expensive console today, and that's because only 12,300 were made worldwide. And to show you this, there's a unique badge on the front, and that displays what number you have. Then inside the rest of the box we have the matching DualShock 4 controller, which is also in that original grey colour. Now it's got the retro PlayStation logo on the home button, and if you look at the touchpad you'll also notice it's got the PlayStation icons etched into that as well. Now I do also have another one of these controllers because they did sell them separately back in 2014, but now this just forms part of my collection. There's also the matching PlayStation camera that's in the same grey, as well as the retro logo on the side. Inside this box we have the safety and quick start guides, also with that retro logo. Then there's the HDMI, power and charging cables, and finally the vertical stand in the same grey colour. So this whole console is such a simple yet elegant design that it's a shame it was so limited. I can imagine so many people out there would love to have had this in their collection, but it either wasn't available or just too expensive to buy. Now next year will be 30 years of PlayStation, so I do wonder whether we will see a 30th anniversary for the PlayStation 5. It would be awesome if we saw some plates and a controller that look very similar to this. Okay, so we're getting near the end now, we've only got 2 more to go, and this is the 2019 Days of Play Limited Edition PS4. They did release the blue one in 2018, but I really like the look of the grey one, so I picked this one up instead. So every year, PlayStation runs a Days of Play event where they reduce prices of games and hardware on their site, and this console was released as part of that. Inside we get a steel black DualShock 4 controller, which is pretty understated as far as controllers go. There are no fancy icons or messages, just a monochrome style with white icons on the buttons. Then there's the power, HDMI and charging cable. And as for the PS4, well here it is. So this is definitely the most used and worn looking PS4 that we've seen today. Quite a few marks on it, but otherwise it looks okay. On the top it's got a nice steel black colour which is a really dark grey, but what stands out are the brushed metal icons. If you tilt this very slightly and when the light hits it, it really shines. Now I think this looks great, but to be honest, when you've seen some of the other limited edition consoles that we've seen today, this one seems pretty simple and boring by comparison. I think it's one of those I could probably have not included in today's video, and not a single one of you would have asked why it wasn't here. And saving this one till last, and one I actually bought in store to check its condition, is The Last of Us Part 2 Limited Edition PS4 Pro. Now if you hadn't guessed it already, The Last of Us games are one of my all-time favourites. I've got a few special edition items kicking around my room, like the collector's edition box and the Ellie statue on my shelf. It is definitely up there with the God of War, Spider-Man and of course Peppa Pig games. So first we've got the DualShock 4 controller, and this just looks so nice. It's got a flat grey, almost steel black like we saw on the Days of Play console. Then on the side it's got Ellie's fern tattoo, and there's the Last of Us Part 2 logo on the touchpad. But quickly, if we compare the Days of Play controller to this, it is very similar, but you can see how the small details make such a difference to the overall look. Okay, then there's the usual cables, but we've got to see this console. So this originally launched back in 2020 alongside the game, but it was only 5 months before the PS5 launched. I don't reckon they sold many of these, as gamers would probably have held off knowing the PS5 was just around the corner. So it's fully matte and finished in a sort of steel grey colour again. But straight away you can see the huge LE tattoo design on the front, which is actually etched in rather than printed. So not only does it look more striking, it will last a lot longer than a print. It is such a bold yet understated look. Then across the front we've got the Last of Us Part 2 logo. Now for me this game is just incredible. If you've not played either of them already, it is definitely something worth jumping on. But as for this combo, the controller and the console, I think they just look awesome. It's one of those consoles I had no intention of buying because I knew the PS5 was so close to coming out, but it is one I'm really pleased to have in the collection. And here they are together, so these are all of the limited edition PS4 consoles that we've covered today. There's a nice mixture of full fat, slim and pro models, each with a whole different look and design but still representing PlayStation one way or another. But out of them all, these two are without doubt my favourites. The 500mm and the 20th anniversary just look so nice. I'm really pleased that I've owned this one since new, but I'm just as pleased that I was able to find and buy the 20th anniversary after all these years. And it's also one that I will never sell. I'm even tempted to buy a second bracket so I can have it on the wall alongside the 500mm. I really don't want to put this back in its box. But which limited edition or rare PlayStation console is your favourite? Did I miss one that you think is better than these 8? Let me know in the comments which ones you would have. Also, I really hope we see some awesome PS5 consoles or covers. I did recently pick up the D brand ones that have this nice transparent look, and I also have all of the official plates already, but I feel we need something more limited edition or game related. I think these PS4s that we've looked at today really show what's possible. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and this was one of the most expensive videos I've ever made, but being able to show you them was definitely worth it. And if you want to see more videos like this, please drop a like and comment nice PlayStation below and I will start planning the next one. You can also check out my best gaming accessory video next, as I highlighted some of the best things to buy right now. Thanks for watching, please like, sub and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Until next time.